Hi again, everyone. I am making it sound like a lot of time has passed, but in fact, this is all being done in one session. So now that we got our lines and our base coloring, I'm gonna do the rendering. First thing I'm gonna do is I will pick a new color for the lines, new layer, clip to my line layer, which I always color code as black, so I immediately see where my outlines are. I don't do a color code for the flats layer because, you can really see it. So, and this color I'm gonna fill with, let's say we want nice and warm lines, so I'm gonna use a dark purplish red, fill the whole layer, and this is what we get. This can look really cool in some art pieces, but not for my favorite fake anime screenshot style. So now I'm setting the outline layer to multiply, and it multiplies this reddish color with the color that's underneath, so that's the flat colors. So basically it gets darker everywhere. Multiply also means you can't use white. White is just transparent. However, the eyes should be black. I don't like using solid black lines for everything, but the eyes, unless it's like a Gojo or something, I always make them black. Same goes for these eyebrows. So I erase the color in this clipping layer. As you can maybe see here, there's two holes. Now if I unclip it, this is what you see. This is the layer. This looks a lot better than this, doesn't it? So now I'm gonna go with shading. If I want a warm shade, let's say I'm gonna pick this grayish pink. And now I use two methods for shading, or one of two methods. Either I draw, wait, we are gonna use a new layer, set it to multiply, and I will just draw the shading areas. And what's also really important is that you clip your shading layer to the flats layer, because otherwise this is what happens. See? This is the shading layer now. This is the shading layer clipped to the flats layer. Unclipped, clipped, unclipped, clipped. And I will draw the shadows. I should probably define my light source for the sake of this tutorial. That's where the light comes from. So basically this is all wrong. I'm going to delete this layer. I'm going to make a new one. And I'm just going to draw in the shapes. I have to admit I do not always really pay attention to the light source. I pay attention to a harmonic overall result. Since the light comes from there, the shadows are pushed towards this direction, towards the right. Now this may not be completely accurate, right? So again, I'm just gonna go with what looks good. But a good rule of thumb is if the light can't see it, there's a shadow. Now, can the light see under this strand of hair, under this lock of hair, or not? I'm not going to be that anal about it. Now I'm taking my fill bucket, area scaling set to 3. And I'm going to fill it, and I can already see that multiply is not quite popping. So what do I do now? Multiply is kind of, well, it looks kind of flat. So my favorite layer setting, blending setting, is linear burn. See what it does? Multiply, linear burn. Now this pops. I like that much better. Oops, there was a gap there. You can close gaps here. I usually have it turned off, but you can increase it for bigger gaps. See, now this huge gap was closed because I set it all the way up, but I don't usually like that because it also means the paint isn't getting in the nooks and crannies it's supposed to get into. I'm just messing around here, right? So this doesn't look so good. This is looking so much better, but I kind of abused the shadow in the eye here, so I'm just gonna put that back. I like to shade the teeth just a little bit, you know, to give that mouth a little bit of that. Take everything I do with a grain of salt. Again, I'm here for results, not for accuracy. But so if the light comes from the left, your shadows are on the right. Roughly, very roughly. But I mean, it's looking kind of good. But he's looking dead. So now what I like to do is, okay, away with the light source, new layer, color coded white for all the highlights. It's looking much better. Even the weird shading around his eye, it's all looking much better once you bring the character alive. Look at this, look at the difference this makes. For some reason Naruto and Kishimoto do very well without eye highlights, I noticed, but I don't know, I can't do it. I can't do it. I need my eye highlights. Oh yes, he has a tattoo that says I love mom. And that's it for the shading. So again, linear burn, normal, multiply. Sometimes linear burn is too extreme, but you can, you know, you can play with the opacity. If you want to give it a more cool or creepy feel, you can go to the hue panel here. See, now it's going more into the red and purple and blue and green, which you can see if I increase the opacity. See, this is what we are looking at now. Opacity back to 0. Well, I'm sorry, I meant saturation. I'm so sorry. Forget anything I just said about opacity. We are talking about saturation. So what shall we do? Shall we keep it like this? Make it warmer, make it colder, make it darker. Oh, this is nice. I like that. See, you can experiment with this and really think what situation is he in. I like to go actually with purplish or bluish shades because it kind of looks more edgy and dramatic. So now be sure when you use a color picker tool, when you want to correct your shading layer, that you either set the shading to normal before you color pick, or you pick it from an area that is absolutely white, like hashtag FFF white, because otherwise you're going to get a discrepancy, because what you're looking at, the color you're looking at, is not the color you're seeing is not the color that is there. This is the color that is there, but your color picker is going to pick this color. Now if I pick this color to add to the shading, I get this, because the color picker sees what you see now when it's set to linear burn, which in a way combines the underlying color with the shading color. So always set it back to normal, or pick your color from a white area. I am just going to make a new layer for the hair highlights, because I like being able to correct stuff without having to correct other stuff. And there's actually a highlight brush that I saved here under effects for hair highlights. Actually I have several. I have this, I have this curve, but you know, none of these really work for me here, so I'm just going to do these. Sometimes these minimalistic highlights, they really do a pretty good job, I think. The eyes look a bit boring to me, so I'm just gonna make them more detailed. And now I shifted the yellow more towards the green. Now he has nice golden eyes, and ta-da! Looks great. This is basic anime style, anime screenshot style, you know. But if you don't want to make it all that basic, make a new layer, multiply, go back to your flats layer, use the magic wand tool, uncheck apply to connected pixels only, uncheck refer multiple, and select your skin color. Now I have the choice to use the skin color, use an ambient light color, use the shading color, use whatever I want. Go back to the multiply layer, to my gradient tool, and do this. See, I already really like this shading color for him, for this gradient. Now I'm going to use the lasso tool, select remove from selection, because I want to get rid of the selection of his shoulders. I select this to unselect this, so now I only have his head selected anymore, and I can use this tool again, the gradient tool, to put a gradient on his neck without making the shoulders any darker. Deselect. Now I'm going to do the same for the hair. Go back to the multiply layer, and now the color I have selected, the shading color, is too dark to make a difference, so I'm just going to make it darker. I'm going to pull this all the way up. See what it does? That's nice. That's looking really good. So now I'm just going to do this one last time for his sexy shirt. There you go. He's hot now. Without a gradient, with a gradient. Without the gradient, with a gradient. So now I could be feeling bold and do the eyes as well, but I'm gonna do it without involving these little yellows here. And what am I gonna pick? Let's go with this orange shade from below, no, from above. Nice. And this is how you use gradients to spice up your screenshot and turn Naruto into, I don't know, Chainsaw Man? Chainsaw Man uses gradients, right? Yeah, I love Chainsaw Man art. This is so much cooler. Well, That's it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. I'm never sure if I'm good at explaining anything. Let me know in the comments, maybe subscribe, and see you next time.